Question 1. What are some examples of the types of cyber-physical threats that require a hybrid risk mitigation response?
Thanks, Jonathan, and welcome to all the those on the ether listening to the telecast. Thanks very much for joining us. An example from my perspective is the trusted insider, or more commonly known in the industry as insider threat. Obviously, an example of the life cycle of an employee, from the background checking, the advertising of a job, the actual resume submitted, the interview process, the allocation of a pass, is all physical, or the old guards, guns and gates. Usually when they get a pass, they get access to the corporate facility or a depot, or in our case, a telco network facility. And generally, because they have a pass, they get a password, which gives them access to systems and management and capability online. There's an example where, from our point of view, the trusted insider is someone who we've allowed access to all of those items. Now, when they become an insider threat is when we prove that they've got nefarious intent against us. And the reason the Converged model is useful in managing that risk is you get an oversight of the whole life cycle of the employee. So you get your data feeds, you get your understanding of investigations capabilities and other things. So from my perspective, the obvious example of that question is definitely the insider threat trusted insider.
Brilliant. Okay. So let's move on to Nicholas.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. I guess it also depends on what your definition of converged is. Darren mentioned, I guess, the personnel security risk that the insider threat poses. And so there you're looking at things with a personnel security lens, physical security lens, and potentially an information security lens. I guess I tend to conceptualize converged security threats as being one of two types. There's that classic physical security breach that becomes a cyber issue. And the example there would be the guy in the high-vis who bypasses physical access control in a building into a work area, who then manages to slip a USB drive into a network or something else and starts to wreak havoc in relation to that organization's network. It's a bit of an extension to the insider threat. The other scenario is where you start at the cyber end of the scale and you potentially end up at the physical. An example of that would be the classic cyber breach of a CCTV camera, whether the camera was poorly patched, hadn't been patched for a while, whether manufacturer's password was still locked in there. For whatever reason, a malicious actor has bypassed that internet-enabled device or IP device and is now potentially on the network of the organization who is operating that CCTV camera, potentially to utilize that CCTV camera and the video surveillance that it is able to capture to perpetrate a physical breach. So you can mix and match them in many ways.
Brilliant. Okay, Michael.
Yeah, great. Yeah, some great responses there. And look, thanks so much for the opportunity to be on this panel with Darren and Nicholas. And really just in addressing this first question around the cyber physical threats and what sort of mitigation response from and I come at this largely from a cybersecurity perspective. That's my entry point into this. Nicholas, for example, is his entry point into this is from the physical side, and I think we're so privileged to have Darren in this panel as the person in the middle who's living the dream of the converged dream, if you like. From my perspective, from the cybersecurity realm, it's like what happens before the fingers get on the keyboard or the device gets plugged into the USB. It's all of those things that happen in that potential kind of attack chain that is going to potentially impact the data within the organization. And so for me, at the outset, the importance of converged security is really around that, having that entire picture and thinking about the risk across both the physical and cyber realm.